Welcome to this podcast is Uncalled For. On today's edition, Kansas City Fringe Festival volunteers. And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernevsky.
Welcome to a very fringy edition of this podcast, is Uncalled For. Today I'm going to talk about something I've been doing for the past 9 years now, and really enjoy it, and that is being a volunteer at the Kansas City Fringe Festival. So what is Fringe? First of all, it started in 1947 in Edinburgh, Scotland. The idea was they did a whole theater festival throughout the city, and not every play was included, so the plays that weren't included, they did their own thing on the fringes of the city, and to this day, it's considered the granddaddy of all fringe festivals worldwide. Kansas City's edition of the Fringe Festival just finished its 15th year, of which I've been a volunteer for 9 years, one of them as a videographer. It was all started and continues to be spearheaded by Cheryl Kimmy and all the volunteers that help make this possible. And on today's show, I was fortunate enough to get a couple of short interviews with a few of these fine volunteers. We're going to start by sharing some audio of me reading a speech that all house manager volunteers, or whatever they want to call them now, have to read before every single Fringe show at Kansas City Fringe. Good evening. Thank you for attending the 15th annual KC Fringe Festival. At this time, we ask that you please silence your phones and any other noise-making devices. Remember, there is no photography or video allowed during the performances, except by the official Fringe photographers and approved press. Make sure to keep your Fringe button. You will need it to access tickets and admittance to all Fringe events. It also comes with special perks from partnering restaurants, coffee shops, and stores. You can find a list of button perks in your program on page 8 and on our website. Let others know what you think of the show. Find the show at kcfringe.org and leave your review at the bottom of the page, or check out the official Fringe Reviews page. For more information and updates about schedules, button perks, Fringe Plus events, reviews, becoming a volunteer, and to purchase tickets, please visit our website, www.kcfringe.org, or 411 office located in the Great Hall of Union Station. Be sure to follow KC Fringe on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. KC Fringe staff and volunteers want to thank you for your support and wish you a happy Fringe. Now sit back and enjoy this performance. So introduce yourself for the podcast listeners, please.
Hi, I'm Nancy Powell, here at the last weekend of Fringe 2019.
Woohoo. And how did you first find out about KC Fringe, and what sort of experiences can you tell me about, either as a volunteer or as a patron?
Well, I have come to Fringe ever since the very first year in 2005. I found out about it somehow that year, and there were only a few nights of Fringe and a few performances, but I went to maybe 5 different shows that year. And back then, not every venue had air conditioning, so We had to be intrepid if we wanted to see those shows. And then, after attending for a couple of years, I decided to volunteer. So I volunteered in 2007 and 2008, and I have the t-shirts to prove it. But then I felt like I didn't see enough shows, because by those years there were a lot more shows, a lot more days. So I just then, and after that, I just attended many, many shows every year, and I've come to Fringe every year except last year when I was out of town. And this year, I told Cheryl that I would come back and start volunteering again after all this time.
Cool. Hey, I think they're always looking for volunteers, to be perfectly honest with you. Even those of us who've been coming for, this is my 9th year now. So has there been a experience, whether as a volunteer, that you would like to share with us that might help anyone who's listening to this that may be considering being a Fringe volunteer?
Well, this year I've volunteered almost every day of Fringe, and it's actually pretty easy. There's different positions, and you can start out with easier ones and work up to more responsible ones. But everybody that I've worked with is so nice and so much fun. So it's a pleasant experience, and it's not very hard. And then you get to see the show that you're volunteering at.
Hi, I'm Daniel Young. I guess this is my second year helping out with the Fringe Festival.
All right. How'd you find out about Fringe Festival?
It was through my girlfriend's former coworker, Brent Kimmy, whose mother is in charge of it all. So.
Yeah, it's pretty much the entire Kimmy clan that runs the whole thing, and they've done a great job. Obviously, 15 years now. So this is your second year, you say, volunteering?
Yeah, this last time I helped out was 2017.
All right, excellent. Do you do anything creative outside of the Fringe that's we may one day see in a Fringe festival?
Oh yeah, well I'm a full-time musician. I play both piano and cello. Right now I have a full-time gig as a choir accompanist for Pleasant Hill Middle and High School. But yeah, I love creating music on my own too. I still freelance on cello. I'm trying to get into a symphony that way. But in my free time I'm also trying to create my own music as well.
Awesome. What have you liked so far about doing Fringe Festival?
Probably just the variety of talent that you get to see, people that you meet, even from all over the country. Yeah, I just love being introduced to all sorts of different avenues that I hadn't necessarily been before.
Awesome. Yeah, I can pretty much say the same thing. Yeah, you're exposed to all these different types of art forms that you may not be into yourself, but it's still pretty cool, and you get to meet other creatives and find your way on the creative person's podcasts.
Right, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm all about supporting the arts in all forms.
There you go.
My name's Chip Kiger. I've been a Fringe volunteer for about 5 years now.
Oh, excellent. And how'd you get into Fringe volunteering?
I don't really remember. I think I attended some Fringe shows and thought, well, volunteering would be a good way to expose myself, and it's been an enormous amount of fun and very enjoyable every year.
Cool. How have you liked being a volunteer?
Oh, I've enjoyed it a lot. It's, you get to catch some shows. It's not a lot of work, and you meet a lot of good people. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I've been doing this for 9 years now, so I totally agree with you on that. Were you able to catch some good shows this year?
Yeah, I've caught some interesting shows. Gosh, they kind of all blur after a few days, but and I'll tell you one thing. There's a show I particularly want to see, like the greatest show ever. I go ahead and buy the ticket because I don't want to work it. I don't want to pay. I want to hoard my Fringe bucks, which, as you know, we get paid the.
Yeah.
And the artist that I want to see give them the money, support the arts, which is something that is an important thing to me, is supporting the arts.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's what Fringe Festival is to me. Just supporting, getting out there, and supporting the arts, whether it's a film. Well, it's mostly a theater thing. Dance, burlesque, what have you, whatever's available. Let's talk about Fringe bucks for a sec. It's a type of currency that we're paid in that's only good at Fringe Festival or during the Volunteer Appreciation Party.
Yeah, and to really be correct, we ought to call it creative cash.
Yeah,
Because-
creates cash, yeah.
Yes.
I think we're that old school that we're still calling it Fringe bucks.
Yeah. But no, it's script that volunteers get paid so much per hour, and it can be used for tickets for performances or Fringe merchandise, and also there is a after Fringe party that features a silent auction that you can bid on some occasionally pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Last year I got a chess set off of it, which I later auctioned to help my employer, which happens to be the Kansas City Chess Club.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they have this year. Hopefully it's some more cool stuff.
Yeah, I might get tickets for the Wider Fire thing. I didn't win anything last year, so I've got a pretty good wad of cash for the deal. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
So once again, a huge thank you to the volunteers who agreed to take a couple minutes, sit down, and be on the podcast. I will go ahead and plug one of the volunteers, Daniel Young, who is a musician. You can find out more about his work at www.danielyoungmusic.com. Young is spelled Y-U-N-G. And another special thanks for letting me know about this place on the east side of Kansas City called Peter May's House of Kobasi. I'm going to have to check it out sometime. As always, ways you can help the podcasts. Tell your friends about it. Subscribe to the podcast. We're on all sorts of platforms now, including, I'm happy to say, iHeartRadio. If you want to help out financially, for just $5, I'll mention your name on this podcast. Go to patreon.com/Mike Chernevsky to make a contribution. That is MikeCzerniewski. We're getting very close to 500 unique downloads. When we reach that point, I may consider sponsorships to start happening, and I may be doing an AMA or a live stream and take some listener questions. So until next time, have a great day. We'll see you next time.
This podcast is Uncalled For is hosted, produced, and edited by Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is Iron Bacon by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Outro music is Colors and Shapes by Anastasia Vronsky, licensed under a Creative Commons by Attribution, non-commercial, share-alike license. Additional music included Morocco Sting by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license, and Secret of Tiki Island by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. If you would like to support this podcast or any of Mike's other creative endeavors, please consider making a donation at patreon.com/Mike Chernevsky. That's MikeCzerniewski. Donations over $5 will receive a special thanks on a future podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.